iRowdy.com. Big three burning issues in NASCAR racing today. I'm Buck Fever. He, of course, Bassmasters.
Hello.
And Buzz Cutler has the burning issues.
I want to read to you, gentlemen.
Ha! Gentlemen, that's funny.
A quote from one Kyle Busch.
Is there more than one?
He
God,
says,
I hope not.
quote, "I'm only as good as my equipment will let me go. Everybody has been asking me why I haven't been running good. Is it my head? Is it because I'm running a truck team? Is it this? Is it that?
It's because my cars suck.
I can only go as fast as my car will let me go." Now, doesn't that smack of just throwing your team under the bus and not accepting any responsibility for yourself?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but this is so common in NASCAR, though. I'm not that put out by it. People complain about their equipment all the time, and they do it right to the crew chief, and they say, you know, this sucks, I hate my gear. He's just frustrated, and, you know,
There's a couple things, though. Number one, he is talented enough to where you say to yourself, well, if he's not running up at the front, it must be the car. But number two,
yes,
the driver has a pretty big role to play in getting the car to work well and be fast. Number three...
Can I give you number four?
Number three...
Could you wait till he gives us
Kyle
number three?
Busch actually leads the series in passes this year, I was noting, from a little statistical report NASCAR put out. So...
Maybe not.
I don't know. You know, I think it's a mixed bag here. I don't know if you can totally blame his equipment. Look how Joey Logano's doing.
Number four, Jimmy Johnson wouldn't do something like this. Jimmy Johnson would go to Chad Canales and go, hey, I think the equipment's not up to snuff. He would work it out. He wouldn't go and say it in public. So should Kyle Busch not do that? Probably not. But is it totally counterproductive? Not really.
We saw a couple seasons ago when Denny Hamlin threw his team under the bus, how it didn't really serve him in the long run.
Look, you know, I don't know if it really has an impact one way or the other. I mean, you say some things about your car, and obviously if you do that too much and your team starts to feel like you're really undermining them, it is going to hurt team chemistry. That's not going to be good. But every so often, the driver pops off and says, this car sucks. They say that crap on the radio all the time. I just don't know. Sometimes I think we make a bigger deal out of it than it really actually is.
Okay, speaking of big deals, the queen of the NASCAR press corps...
Buck Fever!
Well, I was thinking Jeff Gluck, but actually, I'm referring to one Lee Spencer. Wrote an article about the big-name drivers who are on a winless streak.
Yes.
Kevin Harvick.
And yeah, he's the first that comes to mind. Over Jeff Gordon? Come on, Buck.
Well, you've got Kevin Harvick, you've got Juan Pablo Montoya, you've got Ryan Newman is on a winless streak. Craig Biffle's on a winless streak.
Let me give you the five.
Carl Edwards.
Let me give you the five that Lee mentions. Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth.
Matt, right?
Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yep.
And there was one other.
I mean, Kevin.
Kevin Harvick probably is the other one that I'm missing. So which of those guys you think is going to break through first? And she talks about where it's most likely to happen.
I think
Kevin Harvick at Phoenix is not a bad choice right there. And that's a good track for him.
He's had such good equipment
Not really sure what the car will be like. Jeff Burton at Phoenix, also a pretty good chance, I think, just given the way he performed last week. Not that those tracks are super similar, but they're both flat-ish, you know, in the corners. So,
and it is terribly surprising that Jeff Gordon hasn't cracked off a win in a while. It's kind of amazing.
Jeff Gordon at Phoenix isn't crazy either. That was a track for a long time he'd never won at. But then he ended up tying Dale Earnhardt with a win at that track. So
did we mention Greg Biffle in our?
You know, Greg Biffle's another guy. I don't think of him when I think of Phoenix. If we're just talking about this race, nor I guess Texas after that could be a Biffle-style racetrack.
I say Harvick is your guy that's going to break through.
I'm going to go with Jeff Burton. How about that?
Jeff Burton?
All right. Burton versus Harvick, the Phoenix Showdown.
I like it.
If you look at your official NASCAR standings after the Martinsville Speedway event, and you look at who is just outside of the top 12 knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Knocking on heaven's door?
Here's 13 through 17. Joey Logano, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Mark Martin. You got to think with names like that threatening to break through, then Dale Earnhardt Jr., Paul Menard, and Brian Vickers are probably pretty nervous.
Well, they're all nervous because it's tight. And it's going to be tight for the rest of the season, I think. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting run to the chase. But you're right, there are big names back there that are trying to get in. Some of them are going to get in. And that means that someone in there now is going to fall out. Paul Menard... You know, right, it's still, as good as he's run, as impressive as this season has been for him, hard to see him sticking.
It really is hard to see him sticking, but I don't want to put a fork in him and say he's done because he's done so well.
But you know, here's the thing.
But I doubt it.
What gets these guys to this point so far? A guy like a Paul Menard or even a Brian Vickers, and Brian Vickers hasn't been as fast to me
Top 10s, baby.
This year as he was last year. But it's that consistency. It's that avoiding big problems. You look at a guy like Mark Martin, the last 3 races, he had some kind of problem. You look at Montoya, so many problems this year. So I think that as opposed to pure speed, the first thing you need is consistency. After that, you need speed. But with some of these guys knocking on the door, like a Carl Edwards, you better be worried if you're...
Yeah, but what kind of consistency? Paul Menard has top 15 consistency.
Yeah.
Is that going to suffice for an entire season, or is he going to have to up that to top 10 consistency?
I think that might suffice, but I don't see it happening.
I go with
because
top 12.
The problem is when you do that, then you can't have any bad races.
Right.
You're not going to run in the top 10 and be up there competing for top 10, top 5, or wins. You basically have to have no problems.
I think you need.
And everyone's going to have a problem.
You need some top 10s on a consistent basis to really
have to
solidly stay in the chase, because you're going to have a poo-paw somewhere. You're going to be at Talladega and you're going to wreck out 35th.
Exactly.
It's going to happen.
Right.
And do I think Paul Menard's going to stay in? No, I don't. I hope he does, because it'd be a nice little thing, nice little wrinkle.
As long as there's good guys getting left out, then to me that's a good thing.
That shows you how the depth of our fields.
Speaking of being left out,
let's leave today's Rowdy.com Big Three and wish everybody a happy Easter, especially if you celebrate it.
Happy Good Friday.
Enjoy yourself this week. Enjoy the off weekend. If you're a Cup fan, obviously we got the nationwide race on Saturday.
Now, would you say have a Good Friday, or would that be redundant?
Good Friday. I don't know.
Have a great Good Friday.
And we'll see you next time on the Rowdy.com Big Three.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.